To celebrate my entry into a new company, I had a drink with my best friend. After a few rounds of drinks, I went home and lay on the bed, ready to fall asleep. Wait. It seems that my best friend Cherry didn't go home with me. There was a soft touch on my waist, and a hand was misbehaving on my waist. Cherry, stop making trouble. Damn. I quickly turned my face and saw William's extremely handsome face. Of course. I will never admit that he is handsome. With lightning speed, I was about to kick him off the bed with one foot. But he grabbed my with one hand. Damn it. William, you dared to touch my butt. Since my foot didn't work, I slapped his face randomly with my hand. Only then did he let go of me. I quickly pulled the quilt and wrapped myself tightly, hiding in a corner and pointing at the door and saying, "Get out of here." William looked at me with some amusement. "So we figure out whose room this is. And if you had made me unable to have children with that kick just now, our old song family will not let you go." I swallowed. It seems to make some sense. With a snap, a light in the room came on. When I came to my senses, I finally saw clearly the style of the room. The black and white style was obviously not to my taste. William continued, "Don't think that just because we have a baby engagement, you can freely molest me. Damn it. If it weren't for my being in the wrong, William, that bastard, should die." William is 22 years old this year. 2 years older than me. William and I have been neighbors living opposite each other since we were young. Later, after graduating from high school, he suddenly went abroad. Our contact decreased, but the contact between the elders still remained. It is said that he has become his own boss. I'm not particularly clear about the exact situation. I held the quilt and wondered which link went wrong. I glanced at William, who was staring at me. "Why did you return to China? Even if we haven't seen each other for several years. Why are you so mean-tongued?" William sneered. "Who said we haven't seen each other for several years? Hey. This person can't be provoked. As soon as you mention it, he gets anxious." I got up and got out of bed. "You must be on the wrong medicine. You are so irritable. Even if it's a baby engagement, a joke we made when we were young, why take it so seriously now?" I was a little angry and gave him a blank look. As if no one has a temper. Before he could continue speaking, I left the room. Only then did I find that the layout here is exactly the same as my home. No wonder I didn't notice. I apologized to William and left directly. After going out, I found that William lives in room 606, while I live in room 607. Well now, we lived opposite each other when we were young. Now that we are grown up, we still live opposite each other. I returned home and thought about the password for the electronic door. But the password is my birthday. Then how did I open William's door? The more I thought about it, the more something seemed wrong. Anyway, I was sober now, so I might as well try it. As soon as I reached out, the door suddenly opened. Before I could react, I just happened to touch William's pants. The key is that I was still stunned in place. William raised an eyebrow and slapped my hand away. "Still saying you don't want me?" There was a hint of ambiguity in his tone. I wanted to cover his mouth, but unfortunately I didn't dare. I pretended to be calm. "I just wanted to try how to open your door." William scared and looked me up and down. "Sorry. Try next time. I'm very tired today." He did seem a bit tired. Probably just returned to the country. William threw me the bag I left at his house. He threw it to me. Not elegant at all. I was a little annoyed. "William, what's your attitude?" William had no expression, and an attitude of being completely uninterested in me. Just because of his indifferent look, my words naturally blurted out. "William, just keep pretending. I already felt you getting hard." Still pretending. With a bang, William's door closed, making a loud noise. What did I just say? Until late at night, I still couldn't come to my senses. A notification sound came from WeChat. A message for adding a friend. White avatar. Note: Zoe. You're dead. I'm dead. Too. I was so scared that I didn't dare to accept William's request. The next day, on the way to report to the new company, my mom called me and mentioned William's return to China again. Mom, I remember that Xiao Wang seems to be living in Xing District too. Have you met each other? Suddenly, what happened last night popped into my mind. Mom, Xing District is an area, not a building. How would I know? Mom hesitated for a moment. That's true. Then have you really had no contact with Xiao Wang these years? I shook my head and said, no. As for why there is no contact. Because in high school, everyone mistakenly thought that William liked me. Originally, I also thought William liked me. Until the QIXI festival night in Senior 3. I saw William give a love letter to my best friend Cherry. Suddenly, all his kindness to me was just an excuse to get close to Cherry. Later, the classmates in the class continued to joke about us. That night, I exploded and told them not to joke anymore. What I'm afraid of is that Cherry will misunderstand. After QIXI festival, I chose to escape regardless of everything. I didn't have the courage to bless William, so I deleted all his contact information. I didn't even bring my mobile phone and escaped to my grandma's house. The small town of Yancheng is particularly remote. My grandma's house still uses a landline. My mom saw my indifferent attitude and said, "Why, Annie? The arranged marriage we mentioned before was all a joke. If you don't like William and there is someone you like, bring them home and let me have a look." I put my hand on my forehead and said, "Mom, I don't want to fall in love yet. I just started working." As I was approaching the company, I hung up the phone. I interviewed for the position of President's Secretary of SY. But when I entered the position, I only then knew that there was more than one President's Secretary of SY. Counting me, there were 4 President's Secretaries. 3 men. Suddenly I was wondering if the President of SY hated women. But on second thought, I felt something was wrong. If he hated women, how could he recruit me? It is said that the President of SY is extremely mysterious. His influence is so strong that there is not a single photo of him on the market. The group leader of the President's Secretary introduced himself. "I am Leo, the group leader of the General Office. This is Jason and Chad. I am Zoe." When I returned to my office seat, I found that my position could see the General Office at a glance. The door was tightly closed. It wasn't until after I got off work that I heard that the President of SY was on a business trip for a week. Leo pulled me into the company group. When I was about to board the subway, I glanced at it and found a white avatar. Before I had time to click on it, I almost had my phone squeezed out by someone. I quickly put my phone in my pocket. In the following week, at first I was still cautiously trying to avoid William. Later, I found out that William hadn't returned home at all. Only then did I feel relieved. At the weekend, Cherry called me and invited me out for a drink. I readily agreed. I wore a little black dress with an open back and reaching below the knee. Cherry waved at me, extremely excited. "Why, Annie Yan? You're dressed so sexily." J3 I took a look. Except for being a bit open-backed. "Actually, I think it's okay." I took a sip of wine. Suddenly, I remembered that when school was about to start back then, I just returned from my grandma's house. At that time, I only learned that William had gone abroad, and Cherry went on a trip to Shenzhen. After Cherry came back, I also tentatively asked her if she liked William. Cherry firmly said, "Although the Great God Song is very handsome, but for me, he is unattainable. Besides, I have someone I like." "Don't you like William?" Cherry looked at me amused. Lie. "No. I don't like him. It turns out that William is just unrequited love. So stupid. Just as stupid as me." Cherry pushed me, and I came to my senses. "Are you stupid? People who don't know might think you're lustfully thinking about a man." I I paused. William is back. Cherry's hand trembled. How do you know? Just saw him. I casually perfunctory. Not only did I see him, but I also touched him. Just thinking about it like this makes my head hurt. Cherry lowered her eyes, playing with her mobile phone, and asked, "How's your new company?" I nodded. "It's very good. However, the president of SY is quite mysterious." Cherry put down her mobile phone. "What's wrong?" I truthfully told Cherry that I found that among the secretaries of the president, except for me, all the others were men. Moreover, I haven't seen him for a week. If there weren't so many people in the company, I would somewhat doubt whether I was watching the company for someone. Cherry teased, "Don't you have a sense of being the boss's wife?" Hearing Cherry's words, why do I feel a bit? I tilted up my high heels and changed the topic. "Isn't this new pair beautiful?" Cherry glanced at it. "Damn. 6 centimeters. Aren't you afraid of spraining your ankle?" "Actually, I just wore it on a whim." "Who told me I'm short? My net height is only 158. In the past, when I went to school with William, I was even mistaken for William's younger sister. Height is a fatal weakness." I glared at her. "You're such a jinx." Cherry told me that she had called Howard over to drink. I was stunned for a moment. "Which Howard?" Cherry raised an eyebrow. "William's brother." In an instant, I stood up. If Howard is here, then wouldn't William also appear? Cherry has no idea at all that I have lost contact with William. "Oh no." Cherry waved towards the door. "Over here." In the dim light, I really saw Howard's figure, holding on to a glimmer of hope. I planned to hide in the restroom. Then I would ask Cherry, "If William is there, I'll go back." Just as I slipped out of the booth not far away, I was stopped. "Little sister, are you so eager to throw yourself into brother's arms?" The man had a fat head and big ears, looking at me in a greasy way. Clearly we weren't even close to each other. But he had to say that. It disgusted me so much. I didn't want to talk to him. I took a step back and turned to squeeze into the crowd. Being short also has its advantages. Suddenly, it seemed that I really bumped into someone. Sure enough, my foot slipped. It really was as Cherry had said. Just as I was about to fall, I was suddenly enveloped in a familiar smell. The man's hand rested on my waist. His fingertips tightened, making perfect contact with my skin. I also trembled. When I looked up, I had been lifted up by one hand. "Damn it. William. Let me go." I was carried back to the booth by William. Hearing his voice, he seemed a little angry. "What kind of crappy clothes are you wearing?" I said angrily. "This is called a backless hot little skirt. He's not mine anymore. Why should he control me?" William threw a piece of clothing on my shoulder, and said in a cold voice, "If you move again, believe it or not, I'll tear it off for you." Me. For isn't it sexy? I straightened up and questioned. Howard didn't look at me. "Sister Yan, don't torture Brother Wong anymore." "What do you mean I'm torturing him?" William had a cold face, as if someone owed him 8 million. "It's not me. None of my business." Just as I was about to take off the clothes William had put on my shoulder, suddenly, William pressed me under him. "Come on. You take it off." Vaguely, I saw that William's neck was all red. Only then did I remember that I was wearing a black dress with a low neckline that was a bit too low. Cherry and Howard didn't dare to help at all. I mustered all my strength and tried to push him away. But he held me down firmly. I'm completely exposed. Of course, only William could see from this angle. William was acting as if he had taken the wrong medicine. "Are you taking it off or not?" "Well, I admit defeat. I won't take it off." "Will you wear it?" "Yes." William let out a low, and then let me go and personally buttoned up the clothes on my chest. Me. At the moment when it was about to be buttoned up, he said, as if deliberately trying to annoy me, "What are you shy about? When I bathed you before, Why weren't you shy then? He's slandering me. It was just when I was little that I was bathed by my parents together. I also heard about it from my mom. William. I've grown up. William glanced at me and sat up straight. Oh. I didn't notice. Me. Cherry coughed. Her face was also flushed. Why does it seem that Cherry's mouth is a bit swollen? I was just about to move closer to Cherry to confirm. Cherry. As soon as I got close, the familiar hand appeared on my waist again. Ah, I'm going crazy. William. Can you stop controlling me like my mom? I was carried out of the bar by one hand. Really? William brought me out with just one hand. I'm numb. As soon as William put me down, I was about to rebelliously walk back. Zoe. Are you stupid? I was suddenly scolded by William and became even more depressed. What? I just seemed to see that Cherry's mouth was swollen. I'll go see if she's having an allergic reaction to alcohol. William didn't show any intention of letting go of my hand. Are you going to be a third wheel for Howard and Cherry? Now. I don't resist anymore. I let William lead me home. Along the way, I didn't have time to digest this matter. Does it mean that Cherry's mouth was bitten by Howard? William sneered lightly. Otherwise, you can also think that their mouths are fighting? Me. But I haven't heard Cherry tell me about it either. When did he get together with Cherry? It wasn't until I reached the gate of the community and saw the strange look in the security uncle's eyes that I came to my senses. William and I were still holding hands. I immediately broke free from William's hand. So, has Yan Yan finally figured it out? William wasn't annoyed either. He looked at me meaningfully. I didn't understand. Figured out what? The matter between Howard and Cherry? The elevator beeped and reached the 6th floor. William stepped out first. I followed closely. When did they start dating? After graduating from high school. Suddenly, my heart trembled. Casually, I said, "Oh." William seemed to have known my reaction long ago. He casually pointed at the password door lock of 606. Didn't you say you wanted to try the password of my room door last time? Try it now. I was stunned for a few seconds. Then shook my head. No. Let's talk about it later if there is a chance. Farewell forever. I tried hard to suppress the turmoil in my heart and closed the door. At the same time, I was also afraid of that look in William's eyes. As if the door really opened, he would push me into the room and then silence me. Just thinking about it is so terrifying. 5 on the weekend. It was my mother's birthday. I went home. After I washed up and just put on my big white rabbit pajamas. Just as I was about to go back to my room to catch up on sleep, my mother ordered me to deliver some peaches to William's house opposite. Knock knock. Aunt Song. My mom asked me to bring you some peaches. William's mother pulled me into the house. Oh. Let me take a look. Yan Yan has become much more beautiful. Aunt Song. You are also well maintained. You are like a peach. You can teach my mom how to maintain herself later. William's mother pinched my face. Still you are sweet-tongued. Tell your mom that we will go out to eat tomorrow. I nodded and was about to leave. Aunt Song pulled me back again. Yan Yan. Aunt Song asks you for a favor. I was puzzled. Aunt Song said, that is. William came back this morning and has been lying in bed all day, and still refuses to get up. Your Uncle Song, and I don't dare to go and call him. The problem is, I don't dare either. Aunt Song's eyes were filled with tears. Dear Yan Yan, please. William's room was pitch dark. As soon as I entered, the door was closed by Aunt Song with a snap. Me. I took a deep breath and turned on the light. William's room is very minimalist. With an independent bathroom, a simple wardrobe, and a small desk. The desk that accompanied him throughout his entire student days. I pulled William's quilt. William. Aunt Song is asking you to get up. The reason I call William's mother is that my mom and his mom are best friends. However, William's family is dead set against recognizing me as their godreader. As for the reason, it seems that William dislikes me for being ugly. But I don't think so. I am at least a B. I have everything I should have. What's wrong? I put my hand on my forehead and looked at the person on the bed. But William just let out a low, William, if you don't get up soon, I'll lift your quilt. I squatted by his bed. Just like when I was a child. At such a close distance. We were very close. William's face is as if carefully dressed up by Nuwa. There are no signs of aging at all. I couldn't help but sigh. With this face, I don't know how many girls have been charmed. Seeing that William was determined not to get up. I forgot for a moment that William had a bad temper when waking up. I really lifted his quilt directly. Suddenly, at the moment I lifted the quilt, William also bounced up from the bed. Mom, why are you lifting my quilt again? How many times do I have to say it? I sleep naked. My nose felt sour. I seemed to have just seen something I shouldn't have seen. I even felt a little wronged. I don't know if it was because I saw something I shouldn't have seen or was yelled at by William. William, it's me. I swallowed. When William saw me, his Adam's apple slid. In an instant, his hoarse voice broke through. What are you doing in my room? I immediately sat in front of his desk. Hurry up and get dressed. The reason I didn't escape was that a small wooden box of William's caught my attention. That box was exactly the same as the one in my bedroom. However, there was a broken corner on my small wooden box. Only then did I notice that William's small wooden box seemed to be the same. William slapped and entered the bathroom. I breathed a sigh of relief. I secretly told myself to just take a look. When I opened the small wooden box, I found a letter lying inside. Coincidentally, I also had a letter for William. Unfortunately, I had never given it out. I deeply know that this is wrong. But at this moment, I seemed to be out of control. My hand couldn't stop trembling. It was written, for William. Obviously, it was that love letter. Was it the love letter sent by Cherry? A strong desire forced me to try to open that love letter. Because I also had an identical one back then. Finally, as if with some expectation, I reached in and slowly approached that love letter. The bathroom door opened inopportunely. Startled, I slapped and closed the box. William leaned lazily at the door. Did you read it? I pinched my big white rabbit pajamas. No, I really didn't see it. I seemed to sense that he was going to ask me about my sudden departure to the countryside back then. Frightened, I hurriedly escaped. Aunt's song. William is awake. I fled in defeat. William added me on WeChat again. The prominent message was, Zoe, do you like running very much? Run my ass. The next day, it was my mom's birthday. My mom insisted on celebrating with William's family. I didn't think it was necessary at all. They also have their own lives. You don't know. As soon as that kid William heard it was my birthday, he rushed back from the Star District. Look at you. You have no conscience at all. I was helpless. Mom. I don't. I just got a job. As soon as I finished speaking, the figures of William's family appeared in the private room of the restaurant. And naturally, I sat with William. Aunt Song grinned. You know, William and Yan Yan are really a perfect match. My peripheral vision fell on William. He was extremely formal in a black suit. And I was wearing a plain white dress. One white and one black. Why does it have a bit of the feeling of the black and white impermanence? William's voice was cold and heartless. Zoe, how long are you going to keep looking at me? The meat in your bowl is cold. The key was that he said this in front of my parents and his parents. I patted his shoulder. There is dust here. William didn't expose me. And said in a low voice. Agree to WeChat. In front of the two families. I couldn't refuse. William sent a message. This suit was just ironed by my mom. He meant that it was very clean. I looked up and just met Aunt Song's kind eyes. My face was inexplicably burning. After the meal, because of work, I had to return to the Star District. Coincidentally, Aunt Song asked William to send me on the pretext of being on the way. William's family didn't notice the estrangement between me and William at all. Helplessly, I had to agree. When leaving home, I took the small wooden box with me. My small wooden box has been locked ever since I went to the countryside. William was sitting in the driver's seat. His distinct knuckled hand was lazily resting on the edge of the car window. I thought of an online joke. The passenger seat is for the girlfriend. So consciously, I pulled open the rear door. But it couldn't be opened for a long time. I thought William was playing tricks on me. Just when I was on the verge of rage, William's words poured down like a basin of cold water. Why? Zoe? Am I your driver? I think William did it on purpose. But there is no evidence at all. It takes more than an hour to return to the Star District. William said coldly. What are you keeping this broken box for? Aren't you keeping it too? This small wooden box was a reward William got for getting first place in the grade. Later, William disliked having only one and thought one was enough. Naturally, the other one was mine. William glanced sideways and asked casually, "What's inside that needs to be locked?" My face suddenly flushed. Nothing. Just girl stuff. I can't possibly tell him that it's a love letter that I didn't have time to give away. Right? William tugged at his tie with one hand, and his sexy Adam's apple slid. I thought you gave me a love letter. I stared at him wide-eyed. William, don't be so narcissistic. When getting off the car, William told me seriously. Zoe, I have never liked Cherry. I ran home. I was a bit in a trance because William explained to me. After much consideration, I sent a message to William. William, will you blame me these years? Blame me for not contacting you. My mother told me today that William squatted in front of my house all night the night before he went abroad. She found out by checking the surveillance at the door. William didn't reply immediately. Instead, he sent a message when I was about to fall asleep. Zoe, you are the person I hate the most in my life. My hand holding the phone couldn't stop shaking. Sorry. 7. It has been some time since I arrived in SY. Casually glancing at the work group, I found the blank WeChat avatar and always felt a bit familiar. Leo knocked on my desk. Zoe, the president will come today. I hurriedly got up to welcome. When I saw William's stern face, I really wanted to die. What a coincidence. William. William lifted his eyes. Good morning. Assistant Sue. William emphasized the words, assistant, especially. It's quite intimidating. I sent a message to Cherry. I think I'm going to fall into William's hands. Cherry sent a surprised emoji. Don't you not like William? I was silent for a moment and replied. I joined William's company. I think I need some time to digest this matter. Finding that William has become my boss doesn't seem to have bought me a little bit of trouble. As soon as it was time to get off work, I ran out crazily. As a result, William drove his limited edition Rolls-Royce and appeared in front of me. Get in the car. I'll treat you to a meal. And behind him were Leo, Jason, and Chad. I mistakenly thought that William had also invited them. I waved at Leo. Leo's originally smiling face instantly couldn't smile anymore. Leo's voice trembled as he spoke. President. I spoke first. The president said to treat us to a meal. Leo showed an expression uglier than crying. Thank you, President. I gave a slight smile and observed William with my peripheral vision. Finding that he wasn't angry, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. I'm so scared of William now. Following that, I opened the passenger door. But I was stopped by Jason, who quietly hinted at me. The president's passenger seat is never allowed for others to sit. Haven't you seen that the president's face has darkened? I raised my eyebrows and glanced at William with a darkened face. Is it really not allowed for others to sit in the passenger seat? After 2 seconds of silence, I released the passenger door. But I can't squeeze in the back seat with the 3 of them. Right? Zoe. Is Jason your boss or am I? Jason staggered. Fortunately, Chad caught him. He immediately apologized. President. I'm wrong. William had a cold face and his brows were tightly furrowed. Sit in the passenger seat. Don't you want to squeeze with a bunch of men? Eventually. I sat in the passenger seat. Jason's astonished mouth could completely fit an egg. This meal was extremely depressing. I excused myself to go to the bathroom to try to ease the situation. But who would have thought that as soon as I went out, I ran into William head-on. William said infuriately, "Have you been avoiding me recently?" I directly met his stern face. "Didn't you say you hate me to death? Isn't it good that I consciously tried to avoid appearing in his sight as much as possible?" William took my hand and pressed me against the wall, doing the classic wall dong move. William's brows relaxed and he chuckled. "Zoe, why are you so stupid?" He bent down, and his approaching breath was on my face. Ticklish. "William, I'm not a child anymore. It's inappropriate to overstep." William has never said words like he likes me, but all his actions towards me seem to show affection. I turned my face away. "William, I'm not a worm in your stomach. I don't understand those thoughts of yours." William is like someone who doesn't have a mouth. After a long time, William's indifferent tone carried a bit of shallow anger. "Okay. Zoe, you're really something." In the end, I still pulled William and sincerely apologized to him. "William, I'm sorry for that year. Next time if I leave, I will definitely say goodbye to you." "Is there a next time?" Suddenly, William grabbed my chin and forced me to confront him. "Zoe, do you still want to leave? How many 3 years do I have to play with you?" In just a few minutes, I saw William with a cold and distant look. "Forget it. Why should I coax him?" In a fit of pique, I shouted awkwardly, "William, don't play with me anymore." William sneered. "Zoe, shouldn't I be the one to say this?" Me. A tie was sent home by William, still in the passenger seat. That night, Leo secretly created a group chat without William. "Leo, Zoe, come clean. What's your relationship with the president?" Me, superior-subordinate relationship. "Jason, Zoe, you're talking nonsense. I saw it. The doting look the president gave you. The key is that you are the only woman who has sat in his passenger seat." "Really?" Me, "Oh, you're mistaken. William hates me to death." "Where's the doting?" He also said I was playing with him for no reason. After that, Jason was silent. What did I play with him? Instead, Cherry called me sister. "Is it exciting to work with your childhood sweetheart brother?" Thinking of William's cold look, I was very frustrated. If I had known that SY was opened by William, I would never have gone there even if I were beaten to death. Why? I think William is quite good. I was stunned for a few seconds and said indignantly, "Good my ass. Do you know what he said about me today?" He said I was playing with him. Who's playing with whom? Cherry on the other end of the phone paused for a moment. Yan. Do you still remember that Tanabata when you got drunk?" I was puzzled. "So what?" Cherry analyzed seriously. "Have you ever thought about whether you really did something to play with him?" Before I could answer, Cherry continued. "I heard Howard say that William originally planned to confess to you on Tanabata night. Do you have any impression that William has confessed to you?" "I think it's unlikely. If William confessed to me, then why don't I remember it?" The next day, William seemed to have forgotten what happened yesterday and greeted me naturally. Jason asked me to go out for dinner after work. Since I had nothing to do after work, I simply agreed. But who would have thought that William changed to a McLaren? "I'm going too." Me. Jason was stunned and said, "The president doesn't disdain such gatherings." "Does he?" Leo and Chad were silent. William looked at me. "Get in the car." He didn't pay any attention to Jason's words. When I got in the car, I heard Leo patting his shoulder. "Jason, wait to be exiled." After getting in the car, I realized that William's car only had 2 seats. I asked hesitantly, "William, you are so rich. William's distinct knuckled hand paused. Do you want it? I looked sideways. The afterglow of the setting sun fell on him. Just like Song, who protected me back then. I didn't make a sound. Consider it. William blinked his deep pink-like eyes. Say something nice and coax me. Then I might consider it. Consider my ass. When I realized something was wrong, I had already been sent back to my neighborhood. Why did you go home? I gave him a surprised look. William slowly pulled out the key. Zoe. I think we need to talk. Okay. Let's talk then. We planned to talk at my house. As a result, as soon as we arrived at the door, there was water everywhere. William. The water pipe in my bathroom burst. This was the first time I had encountered such a situation. William took off his coat and directly went into the bathroom to repair the water pipe. William raised his eyebrows and groped for the valve in the water. Do you have any tools? No. William frowned. Go to my door and get the toolbox. I was only thinking about saving my home. Okay. When I stood at William's door, I was stunned for a few seconds and entered my birthday. 9. The door was actually opened. I was stunned for a long while. It was William who turned off the water valve and came out to get the toolbox. Under William's white shirt, his abdominal muscles were vaguely visible. I quickly turned my face away. William took the toolbox and looked worried. What's wrong? I shook my head to indicate that it was nothing. After repairing the water pipe, the sky outside had already darkened. As for the fact that I opened William's house easily without needing a password, William was like a person without a care in the world. Indifferent. William bent down and pinched my nose. What's wrong? Want me to take it off for you to see? William seemed very hot. I hurriedly looked away. No. You go back and change your clothes quickly. Didn't you say we need to talk? Okay. I ordered takeout. It should be here soon. Let's eat first. I didn't expect that William was so careful. I don't know if William did it on purpose. All the cuisines he ordered were my favorites. And they were of a certain species. But I remember that William didn't eat spicy food before. I was stunned for a moment. William lifted his eyelids and put a piece of steak in my bowl. Don't you eat spicy food anymore? I shook my head. My taste has always remained the same. The one who has changed is you. William sighed. I also want to try changing my taste. William also tasted that steak. His face had visibly turned red. Zoe. I haven't changed either. I hurriedly handed him water. Are you crazy? Only then did I notice that the cup William was drinking from was mine. William's lips parted slightly. Slowly. He said. Zoe. I just want to tell you that I have never changed. I said oh, and suddenly felt my face burning. William asked me to take out the small wooden box. William also brought over the small wooden box. Zoe. You can return my wooden box now. I looked at him in disbelief. What? William raised his eyelashes and reached out to take the wooden box in front of me. With a plop, the wooden box in front of me fell to the ground. On it was clearly written, For Zoe. I clearly knew that this handwriting belonged to William. I wanted to run. William stopped me and pulled me into his arms. Zoe. I have already accepted your confession. But you actually don't want me anymore. I was stunned and let William hold me. William's embrace was extremely warm. It even reminded me of the QIXI festival back then. 10. I heard William's sobbing. I said softly, William, are you crying? I pushed William. But there was no movement. William said in a muffled voice. Zoe. Whoever cries for you is a dog. Me. William tightened his grip on my hand. As if afraid that I would run away again. Zoe. You deceived me. Thinking of what Cherry said about whether I had toyed with William after getting drunk. Sure enough. Getting drunk ruins one's life. You have already agreed. Clearly you agreed to let me send a love letter to Howard. But you got jealous and ran away. Me. Suddenly. I felt very uncomfortable. Looking at William's suddenly talkative mouth. I directly blocked it. Alas. It's embarrassing to tell. William was actually kissed and made to cry by me. Ah, this damn man William. I really can't stand him. William cried very loudly. I was at a loss. No. William. Don't cry. You just said that whoever cries is a dog. Didn't you? William took a breath. Woof. Me. Only then did I know that actually. 3 years ago. I confessed to William. We also confirmed our relationship. But at that time, I was drunk and my head was a bit dizzy. Because it was only that one time I was drunk. I couldn't remember anything that happened after getting drunk at all. And when I saw the love letter in William's hand when I was sober. At that moment, seeing the love letter in William's hand, I felt very wronged. Thinking that the man I had been longing for many years was not mine after all. After a while, William's emotions finally calmed down. Why didn't you open this box for so long? I didn't open it just because I thought William had become a thing of the past. William picked up the love letter from the ground and handed it to me. All the other scattered things belonged to me. Even, in addition to this letter. I saw a card that said, when do people use the same thing? It's couples clothing. The time was written when William was in elementary school. Suddenly, my nose felt sour. William. William rubbed my head. I'm here. I asked in a soft voice. Have you been coveting me for a long time? William didn't hide it, not much. Just over a dozen years. William took my hand and placed it on his chest. Zoe. I only love you. William's heart was beating very fast. Thump thump. My hand trembled slightly. 11. The fact that William and I have been in a relationship for 3 years was mocked by Cherry. Yan Yan. You reap what you sow. I said casually. It's okay. William is rich. In fact, I had asked William if he would stay in China if he didn't go abroad. His answer was, yes. Because of me. Sometimes I am also glad that William has been away from me for these 3 years. At least he has achieved success. According to Howard, during the 3 years when William was studying abroad, he has always been self-disciplined. To all his pursuers, he always said, I have a girlfriend. Howard told me, Sister Yan, let me tell you secretly. Once Brother Wayne got drunk and told everyone that my wife ran away after being in a relationship for less than 24 hours. William, sitting aside, didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. Cherry invited me and William this time, not just to get together. Rather, they are going to get married. They are going to end their 3-year-long relationship and step into the palace of love. However, because Cherry's parents are abroad, their wedding is planned to be held abroad. And Howard will also follow Cherry to go abroad. Since we made our relationship public, Leo, Jason, and Chad have all been respectful to me when they see me. It makes me laugh and cry. In fact, you don't need to be like this. William and I are just in a relationship. It's not certain that we will get married. Jason asked in confusion, if you don't marry the president, who will you marry? Moreover, Jason's voice was very loud. I suspect that William, who just got out of the elevator, also heard it. William said calmly on his cold face, Jason, the subsidiary company in Africa needs you to go there. Leo immediately moved far away from Jason. Even Chad didn't dare to approach. Jason said with a bitter face, President. It's not what I said. Sister Yen said it herself. Sister Yen said that it's not certain that she will marry you. Then, William's gaze fell on me. Zoe. I, William, am such a pure man. If you really piss me off to death, you won't find a second man as good as me. William said it in public. Jason seemed to make up for it. That's right. Sister Yan. The affectionate one has to be our president. The whole SY is yours. Jason asked in surprise. Sister Yan. Do you know the meaning of SY? I shook my head. SY means Song Yan. It's the surnames of you and the president. Me. William's face was as usual, and he was about to return to the office. I couldn't help but mutter "sy. It really seems like Song and Yan." Jason asked from behind, "President, do I still have to go to Africa?" William paused his steps. "Salary increase. Leo, Chad. 12 William's kindness to me is far more than these." In the drawer of his office, there is a stack of air tickets. I found it by accident. The addresses on the air tickets are almost all on the same route. From his school to home. To my surprise. Even though he was studying abroad, he went home so frequently. I couldn't help being curious. "Why haven't I met you every time you come back?" William put his arm around my waist and pulled me into his arms. "Because I thought you didn't want to see me anymore." I looked at him suspiciously. "Then why didn't my parents know?" William rubbed my hair. "I did it secretly. How could I let them know?" I called his name. "William." Brother is here." His hum was slightly alluring. My voice was a bit hoarse. "In fact, I don't deserve you doing this." William lifted his eyelids. "Zoe, can you not hide in the countryside next time?" I raised my eyebrows and met his cold face. "Huh? William, did you come to the countryside to look for me?" William didn't deny it and made a sound from his nose. "Yes. But I didn't know the way and lost you." I was silent for a long time and then hugged William. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm too weak. I swear I will never drink so much alcohol again." William smiled meaningfully and said, "It's okay. Just make it up to me well in the future." I looked up and said, "Okay. What kind of compensation do you want?" For a moment, William was speechless. His eyes on me changed slightly, and his hand unconsciously became gentler. He bent down and cornered me against the wall. "Zoe, what do you think?" "How would I know?" William looked lazy. Looking down at me, he said, "I want an adult's reward." Suddenly, I felt my palms sweating. In the afternoon, William participated in a large event, and I went along as William's girlfriend. Because of William, many people's eyes fell on me. Invited for an interview by the host, William took me up there as well. The host showed a smile and said, "May I ask what the name of President William's girlfriend is?" "Zoe." Facing many cameras, I was a bit unaccustomed. William frowned, his voice cold and impatient. "Hurry up." I soothed William in a low voice. "It's okay. I also want to be with William." William leaned lazily beside me, which could be described as inseparable. The host seemed used to William's tone. "President William, we will be as quick as possible." I smiled faintly. "It doesn't matter." William looked up. "Don't let my fiancé get too tired." Not long after, I found a ring on my middle finger. I looked at him in confusion. William said in front of the camera, "This is the compensation from my fiancé to me." The host and the people present all had an expression of eating melons. William's fingertip gently brushed across my waist and brought me closer to face him. "Perhaps you didn't expect that the only person I confessed to ran away less than 24 hours after agreeing to me." Immediately, everyone's eyes locked on me, all with an ambiguous expression. "It's really embarrassing. What should I say? I can't tell everyone that I ran away because I was jealous. Can I?" William's lips parted slightly. His deep and unique voice said, "My fiancé and I are childhood sweethearts. We had an arranged marriage when we were young." As if declaring sovereignty. "I think I didn't do well enough in the past, so that my fiancé has always been insecure. For the rest of my life, I want to tell her that I, William, only love her from the beginning to the end." William turned his face away and domineeringly declared his rights as a fiancé. "Be good. Close your eyes." I accepted his kindness. At the end of the interview, the host asked the last question. "May I ask, does SY refer to your fiancé by your side?" William held my hand tightly and stared at me doubtingly. "Zoe, do you feel my love?" After a few seconds of hesitation, I met his handsome and cold face with a smile and responded to him. "William, bend down." William obediently bent down. and the hand holding me tightened. I blocked William's thin lips. In public,